My name's Martin Ashworth. For 2 years in the 1970s, I was an engine room attendant on the paddle steamer Lincoln Castle on the Humber ferry service, the Barton ferries, between Hull and New Holland. My association with the Humber ferries started in the summer of 1975. A friend and I were working on a project. We were restoring a railway engine in our spare time, and we decided, we'd been working so hard, it was a lovely day, a lovely week, we thought we'll go and have a day out on the Humber ferry. And what a pivotal day for me that turned out to be. I thought it was wonderful. I just loved the whole thing right from the start. So before I left, I went to the office at Corporation Pier and I just inquired in case there might be any jobs. I was available for the summer. I was at university at the time. 2 weeks later, phone call came. Was I still interested in the job? I said yes, I was. And they said, well, can you start at 6 o'clock on Monday morning? So for me, they were happy days. I had my independence, I had a wage, and I was doing a job that I loved amongst some great people. One of the highlights was in the summertime, we used to do specials for the students, the Freshers' Week at the university in Hull. And we used to have a jazz band, and we used to go off all over the river. And we didn't do the normal New Holland service this time. We'd go down to Spurn Point, or we'd go up the river. We used to go all over with it. And they were tremendous occasions, really. Everybody enjoyed them. So the ferry service finally came to an end in 1981. It ended the very day that the Humber Bridge opened. And with that ended a 2,000-year tradition, and really a whole way of life, an integral part of Humberside life, ended with the closure of the Humber ferry service.
Hello and welcome to the next in our Lincolnshire Wildlife Trust Wilder Lincolnshire podcast. I'm out and about today, but also Matthew Capper is out because last time on the podcast, Matthew, you said you were going to take me to somewhere special.
I did, and there's a great big clue right behind you as to where we are. So welcome to Farring's Nature Reserve. We're on the Humber. We have the iconic bridge behind us as a backdrop, and delighted to welcome you here today.
It is fantastic. What a great sight. You've got nature here, but you've got that massive bridge right beside it. You know, it seems to be a strange sort of composition, really, doesn't it?
It does, but actually the whole origin of this nature reserve comes from industry, an industrial background. So they used to have these brickworks around here, and these were basically the clay pits where they dug the clay for the bricks from. And they're filled with water, and we've taken them on and turned them back to nature.
Just before we started recording, we were looking across the reeds. You got quite excited, didn't you?
I did, yes. In fact, you were just saying, what might you find in this kind of habitat? And I was just starting to go into a fairly long kind of explanation, and a bearded tit flew past, which was amazing.
Is that quite uncommon?
Oh, these are a really rare bird. They are absolute reed bed specialists. So it's only these kind of wetland reserves, and there are not many reserves like this in the whole of the UK. So bearded tit is a real special bird, so I was really chuffed to get that.
We're standing beside the visitor centre. Let's go inside and have a look if we can. Mm-hmm. So just come down to this way here. Leanne, hello there.
Hello.
So is this your natural habitat?
I guess you could say that, yes.
Tell me a bit about your background. When did you become interested in wildlife and nature?
Well, really, for as long as I can remember. I think even as a tiny child, my mum used to take us out to the woods, and, you know, we used to spend quite a lot of time exploring. So, yeah, really, as far back as I can remember.
Very different environment here, isn't it? You come here and you look across an estuary every day. Isn't it fabulous?
It is, yes, it's wonderful. I mean, it has so many different sort of aspects, and it looks so different every day depending on the weather and the time of year. So yes, you never get bored of the view out of the office window, that's for sure.
Now, we can't see out of the windows at the moment, only a very low level because we're in the Holt. So what is the Holt?
The Holt is one of our classrooms. So we call it a classroom, but we have lots of schools visiting, and really the Holt is a base for exploring the nature reserve. So although it's a classroom, we really prefer to think of the nature reserve outside as our classroom, because that's where we like to spend most of the time when we have young people or families out and about with us.
And do you get a lot of response? Do you get lots of school groups wanting to come and use the facilities here?
We do, yes. It's very, very popular. So we're booked out for the summer term already. And then we do get some groups coming in the autumn and some in the early spring as well. And yes, and we get lots of families coming to our family activities that we do regularly and workshops and things that we do in the holidays. So,
and do you do some of those activities outside?
We do. We try and spend as much time outside as we possibly can, because that's really our natural classroom. We want to connect people with the natural environment, and obviously we can do that outside and not so easily inside. But we do have the Holt and the Borough, which are our sort of classroom bases where children can leave their lunch and retreat into if the weather is really challenging.
What sort of things do you do here then on the education front? What are you finding? What are you getting the children to get involved with?
It's a whole range of things. What we want to do is connect people with our fantastic natural environment. So when the schools come, they need to do some certain things to meet their curriculum targets. So they might be looking at things like life cycles or adaptation of different creatures to their habitats. So we can do lots of activities outside, like looking carefully at the mini beasts we can find, and those might be land mini beasts, or our pond dipping is very popular, where we use nets to see what we can find in the water, and we can look at really carefully at those creatures and their different life stages and their different adaptations, camouflage, all sorts of things. And we also do things like giving the children time to just sit and absorb what's around them, to use their senses, to listen really carefully, to have a good couple of deep breaths to see if there are interesting smells on the estuary. So it's trying to connect, give them time outside and give them time to see and absorb how amazing our natural world is.
Leanne, thank you very much indeed. I'll leave you alone in your Holt. I'm going to go back up to the viewing area and catch up with Libby, who I think has got some interesting sightings to share with us.
I'm sure she has, yes.
So we've come back upstairs at the main viewing area at the Farrings Nature Reserve, and Libby's with me, and we're standing in front of the sightings board. So do you keep this up to date for people?
Yes, our resident volunteer is in charge of putting all the sightings on our sightings board. We have it nice and clear with numbers so that you can tell exactly where these sightings have been seen, and dates as well, so you know if it's been seen multiple times or if it was just a once stopover. Our sightings board shows both sides of the reserve. So we have the visitors side, this side with the education, and it shows people how to get to the other side of the reserve where the warden lives and where lots of our hides are seen.
Now, I've just spotted down here bittern. This is my challenge today. I want to try and find a bittern before the day is out. What are my chances? Where do I need to go?
You definitely need to go down to the Ness End Farm. Ness Hide is where lots of our main attractions are seen, and Ness Hide is a double-decker hide as well, so it has an upstairs, so you can see even further across the reserve.
Tell me a bit more about the facilities here, because the first thing is the view. When you come up here, and I would imagine for the first time, like my first visit this morning to this area, you're just blown away by it all. But you've got tea and coffee facilities and a shop, haven't you?
Yeah, we have a little wildlife shop where we sell everything from bird foods and feeders to greeting cards, and we also sell tea and coffee. at only £1, and it's very good coffee for just £1. And we also sell lots of snacks, and it's a great place for people to come and sit down and take in all the views, have a nice cup of coffee before they ponder on their next walk.
Libby, thank you very much indeed. Matthew is still with me today on our tour around. I've seen bittern mentioned on the sightings board. Where do we need to go for the best chance of seeing a bittern then, Matthew?
Well, I did ask them to rub that out before you got here, but seeing as it's there, we will do our best to find you one. So there's a hide down at the far eastern end of the reserve called Ness End Hide. So there's a little car park down there. So we'll head down to the car park, walk across the nice little wildflower meadow into the hide there. I think it's probably one of the most reliable places in the UK to get views of bittern, but I am bigging it up a little bit, you know, so we'll see. I'm not guaranteeing it, but we're going to give it a go.
Fingers crossed. So Matthew, we've moved away from the main visitor centre. We've come down to Ness End and we're heading towards one of the hides. So what's special about this area?
Yeah, so the reserve is quite large, and the Ness End bit of the reserve is where we are most likely to see a bittern.
Oh, okay, I'm getting very excited.
Okay.
We're going across the field at the moment. I have to say we have had an awful lot of water around, and this is very squelchy, isn't it?
Yes, so we've been trying to turn this back into a species-rich wildflower meadow. It is an area that had always just been one species of grass grazed by sheep when we needed to give them somewhere in the winter. But Simon the warden here has been adding some real kind of botanical interest, and the first thing that he's done here is sow it with a particular type of flower called yellow rattle.
Right.
And yellow rattle are really interesting because they're quite a pioneer species. So they'll come into this grass sward, which is really, really tight, and there's lots of just kind of the sort of grass that you get in your garden, really. But yellow rattle is actually semi-parasitic on grass. So it'll weaken the grass sward here, and that'll allow there to be more gaps, and it'll allow other flower species to come in later. So first of all, a bit of yellow rattle, and then over time we'll bring in other species, and hopefully we'll have a really wonderful meadow at the end.
Really wet here at the moment. I can't imagine this is a flower meadow, but I tell you what, we have just had a fantastic sighting. I can still see it now. Is that a stone chat over there?
Yes, it's been popping down onto the grass edge of the field to find little insects, and then it flies back up onto the fence posts, and really cooperative. It sits there for a little while.
I know.
Yeah, it's a female, so it's quite orangey. The males would have a black head with a bit of a white on the cheek. So this is a female, but a really special little bird. So that's a really good sighting.
And again, this is the sort of habitat they would like. Farings are suited to a stone chat.
Certainly in the winter. In the summer they would probably be breeding somewhere a bit more heathland-like, or maybe in the uplands on our moorlands. But in the winter, these nice kind of reed bed and scrubby areas are perfect for them.
Well, we're heading towards the hide now. I noticed from this view here, the hide is actually set up quite high, again for good views.
Yes, in a reed bed, when it's a big expanse of tall reed, you need to be able to look over the top of it. And again, what Simon, our warden, has done is cut channels in, specifically put them radiating out from in front of the hide. So when you sit in the hide, you get a fantastic view.
Okay, and hopefully a view of bittern. No promise.
No promise, but just to tantalise you a little bit more,
yes,
I have it on good authority that a couple of bitterns flew this way about half an hour ago.
Okay, we'll go into the main hide here and just go up to the right, climb up the steps, and immediately we're getting a great view across the reed beds. And you can see, Matthew, here where an awful lot of work has been done and carried out, can't you?
Yes, I told you about the sort of the channels that have been opened up, that hopefully if a bittern is feeding here with all of the wet edges, this gives us our best chance of being able to see one.
Pair of swans I can just spot.
Yep. Just right down the end there. I can see a coot out here. There's cormorant. I'll get the telescope out and we'll see if we can find anything else.
let's talk to Simon, the warden here at Farrings. So what was the first challenge when you arrived?
Getting the reed beds young and wet again, I think was the biggest challenge. Really, they very much dried out and were late successional, which is completely opposite of what bitterns need. So yeah, getting these channels working and operating, getting the fish to repopulate the reed beds.
And that's because the bittern, what is there, wanting to be near to the fish. They're quite secretive, but they just want to be on the edge to catch the fish then, do they?
Yeah, they'll sit on the edge of the reed bed and fish into the open water. But what they want is that protection that the reed bed offers, so that if they feel threatened in any way, shape or form, they just take one step backwards, and because of the cryptic camouflage, they just vanish.
We talked about the channels going through here. Now, what part do the channels play? Why are they so key?
It's a twofold thing, really. Firstly, as a habitat itself, it's better for bitterns because it provides more opportunities. But these ones here in front of the hide, we do these deliberately so that it increases people's chances of actually seeing a bittern.
The interesting thing is, when you arrived here, there were no bitterns on site. And it's actually turned around relatively quickly, hasn't it?
Well, we know what they need. There's been so much research done on bitterns, so we know exactly what it is that they require from a habitat. It's just a matter of being able to replicate that, which of course takes a lot of experience and money to get it to work.
I think the key is that people think you can just leave an area to wildlife, but you do need to manage it depending on what you're trying to attract, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously it depends on the habitat. So, for example, woodlands are a climax community. They don't need a huge amount of management, but reed beds, if you leave them, will become wet woodland and then ultimately dry woodland. It's a transient habitat. So if we want to keep them as they are, then we need to manage them.
You're passionate about what you do, so much so you actually live on site, don't you?
Yeah, well, that's it's a brilliant place to live, and it's a fantastic place to bring my children up because, I was out with my youngest boy last night watching 15,000 starlings coming into roost, and he's very excited by just living and being surrounded by wildlife.
And where did your interest in wildlife start?
From my granddad, actually, and fishing. We used to go fishing on the canal in Keighley in 1976. Yeah, 1976. A kingfisher landed on the end of my granddad's fishing rod, and that was me hooked.
I'm sure it was.
Excuse the pun.
Sure. We've got some geese making a bit of noise in the background as well.
Oh, Canada geese, yes. We've got no shortage of them. But they are very entertaining when they pair up and then they're constantly fighting and jostling. And
I'm in about the best spot to possibly see a bittern, but I don't think my luck's going to be here today, do you now?
That's what bitterns do. They torment you. And you will either see absolutely breathtaking views of one walking around sticking its tongue out at you, or you'll wait for another 8 years and never see one. They're such an enigmatic species. I think this is the best place in the UK to see them.
Well, how many have we got on site, do you think, now?
It's difficult to tell because we still have some of the wintering population, but the males that will breed here this year have already started booming. We've got at least 4 boomers.
And what are people listening out for? That boom, if they haven't heard it before, it's quite a haunting sound, isn't it? And it can be so loud and carry quite a distance. It
carries a long, long way, yeah, 2-3 kilometres sometimes, if you get the wind in the right direction. I mean, it sounds a bit like somebody blowing in the top of a glass bottle. At the moment, they're sort of more grunting than proper booming.
Yeah.
You can hear them filling their air sacs up and sort of, but it's really quite strange. You think that they're ill, actually.
Sounds wonderful. Matthew, you've got your binoculars on the go, no bittern?
I'm listening to your conversation while scanning intently. Nothing yet, but there's still time.
Well, yeah, we've got a little bit more time here, but we're just at the end of our Wilder Lincolnshire podcast, unfortunately. It's been absolutely fantastic having a look behind the scenes here at Farrings. What a special place it is.
It's a really life-affirming place. It's so biodiverse. It has such variety. From the wildflower meadows, the orchids in the summer. We've talked about starling murmurations. We've talked all about the reed bed species. but there's some woodland species here as well in all of the scrub that you get. So you can get so many species as well with the Humber just on the other side of the bank. Any visit here is always worthwhile.
This sounds like it's one of your car parks. Humber Bridge. Viking Way cafe bar. This is your nature reserve. Because you've got a building there. So this is your nature reserve. Okay. And this is your harbour. Over there is Essel, over the river. Yeah. Outranked, whatever you want to call it. So the car park is end of here, turn here. It sounds like, yeah, turn here to car park. It's there. They do have toilets. Right. They're here. So they do have toilets, guys and girls. They do have a power play area as well. It's not this bad here. At water's edge. So it's all
yak off the trees.
so at the water's edge. This is your play area. Your Humber Bridge. Which began construction in 1972 and was completed in 1981, and it was opened by Queen Elizabeth II on the 17th of July 1981. Before that there used to be a boat you had to get on, which is known as the Barton boat, which took you across the riverbank. So remember that Lincolnshire is Bomber County, so if you was going to the bomber airfields and you lived in Hull and that area and Beverley, you would have had to go on the boat to get over. There was no other way of getting over at the time unless you go another half a mile or two around to get over. So now you know about the bridge. We're actually the Barton-upon-Humber side of it. Across the river, of course, is Hessel, which is Hull, which is East Yorkshire. We're at the Lincolnshire side. There is 5 nature reserves down here, not very well signposted, and it is accessible by lots of different walking routes, most notably the Viking Way, which of course we saw the cafe.
And there's this one, isn't it? I think it's from Charles III.
And of course, yeah. So there's many walking ways around here. Of course you're in grass areas as well, so remember we've had hot weather, so adders and grass snakes will be about, so just watch yourself if you're going on these coastal walks, because they're not very well seen. They hide themselves very, very, very well, and it is one of the poisonous snakes we have here in the United Kingdom. Yep, so if you are bit, it is venomous, so you will have to go to A&E and get treated for it, because it can lead to infection. Morning. Of course, back in World War II, there was 50 airfields for Bomber Command in Lincolnshire. So just imagine how many air crew and ground crew, cooks, chefs, you name it, they were all involved. Had to about the Barton boat, because like I said, there was no bridge. Also remember as well that a lot of sailors in Royal Navy also was in Hull as well. And of course they fought on the D-Day landings, Operation Overlord, and many more as well. You also have ones that also went out and fought in World War I as well.
And the fishing fleets.
Yeah. This is residential, as at the moment as down here.
It is King Charles III, England's coast path we've just been on.
Yeah. So you are residential, this area. You are on the industrial estate as well. Just to remind people, we are not auditors, never have been, never will be. But we'll see you next at Barton-upon-Humber village. You see how the bridge goes up here and goes up to the that's where the idiots climb it from. The point here and they walk all the way up to that point there.
I think you might mean Barton-upon-Humber. There's no place called Buxton-upon-Humber. Here's what you need to know about Barton-upon-Humber, North Lincolnshire. Location: south bank of the Humber estuary, right at the southern end of the Humber Bridge, approximately 6 miles southwest of Kingston upon Hull, approximately 31 miles northeast of Lincoln. Start of the Viking Way long-distance walking trail. History and heritage. Saxon roots. One of Lincolnshire's oldest oldest settlements. St. Peter's Church, Grade I listed, magnificent Saxon tower and Norman architecture, one of England's most important early churches. St. Mary's Church, also Grade I listed, medieval origins, market town status for centuries. The Ropewalk, former ropemaking factory, now a thriving art center with galleries, sculpture, and coffee shops. Edge Country Park, nature reserve on the estuary, great for bird watching and walks. Ted Lewis Visitor Center celebrates the life of the Get Carter crime writer, born here. Things that happened there. Barton Bike Night, one of the UK's biggest motorcycle gatherings, draws thousands every July. Ghost walks, classic car shows, artisan markets throughout the year, pubs and food, cozy cafes, independent shops, traditional pubs. Try Lincolnshire sausages, plum bread, and local ales. Want me to also look up bere-tūn in case that's what you meant? Would you like a
Couldn't hear a word that I said because of them.
Sure thing. Here it is again. Barton-upon-Humber, where it is on the south bank of the Humber estuary, right at the southern end of the Humber Bridge, approximately 6 miles from Hull, approximately 31 miles from Lincoln. Start of the Viking Way walking trail, history and heritage. One of Lincolnshire's oldest settlements, St. Peter's Church, amazing Saxon tower, one of England's most important early churches. St. Mary's Church, also Grade I listed, medieval, the Ropewalk, old rope factory turned art center, Water's Edge Country Park, nature reserve on the water, birthplace of crime writer Ted Lewis. Events, Barton Bike Night, huge motorcycle gathering every July, ghost walks, classic car shows, markets, food and drink, traditional pubs, cafes, independent shops. Try Lincolnshire sausages, plum bread, and local ale. Want me to dig up the spooky haunted side for your bloody tour series? Here's the spooky horror angle for your bloody tour series. Barton-upon-Humber, the dark side. St. Peter's Church, 3,000 souls beneath your feet. Built on an ancient pagan burial ground dating to the 600s, long before Christianity arrived. Excavations uncovered over 3,000 skeletons crammed into the churchyard. Bodies stacked on bodies for over 1,000 years. Some graves still had surviving wooden coffins preserved in waterlogged ground. Bodies that wouldn't fully rot. Imagine standing there. The tower could have been built by someone who fought at Stamford Bridge or Hastings. The Poltergeist House, 1856. One house made headlines across the country. Chairs danced, crockery rattled, blankets ripped from beds as if caught in a gale. Locals gathered to pray the ghost to rest. A huge crowd fought outside over whether the priests or the ghost would win. One woman saw the ghost smiling at her in broad daylight. The fugitive of the Humber. A centuries-old ghost walks the lanes. A fugitive running from the law, who didn't die by the hangman, but was swallowed by the unforgiving Humber tides. He's said to appear suddenly, pale, dripping wet, still running for his life. The bell that rang underwater. Barton's blowwells. Strange bubbling springs that rise and fall with the river. Locals say on quiet nights, you can hear church bells ringing deep under the water. Some say a whole village lies submerged, and the bells still toll for the dead. The butchery, Beacon Hill, the oldest part of town, once where a great bonfire stood ready on the hilltop, lighted to warn villagers, the Danes are coming up the river. After dark, with no streetlights, this narrow alley was where you got waylaid, robbed, or worse. Barton Ghost Walk. Monthly from Halloween to March, actors in costume walk the shadowy lanes. Starting at Baysgarth House Museum, the Grey Lady leads the way, one of several spirits said to still walk among the living. Perfect for your bloody tour. Ancient pagan graves, 3,000 skeletons, poltergeist activity, drowned ghost, submerged bells, Viking invasion warning point. Want me to turn this straight into a YouTube script outline or a history poster for you?
That's no one here.
That's it, one there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, that. Cool, isn't it?
This is St. Peter's. English heritage, this one.
Here's everything you need, ready to go straight into your video or poster. St. Peter's Church, Barton-upon-Humber. Grade I listed. Anglo-Saxon roots. English heritage. Basics. Location. Barton-upon-Humber, North Lincolnshire. DN185EX. Built. Approximately 970 to 1030 AD. One of England's oldest and most important Saxon churches. Managed by English Heritage. Free entry. Architecture. Built before William the Conqueror, Anglo-Saxon tower, the real showpiece. Triangular-headed windows, decorative stone strips, built with reused Roman stones. Rare baptistry, the only surviving structure of its kind in England. Originally the tower was the church. Services held right inside it. Later expanded. Norman, Gothic, 14th century nave you see today. The bones, 3,000 people underfoot. Closed 1972. Excavations found nearly 3,000 skeletons stacked across 1,000 years. Saxon to Victorian. Perfectly preserved medieval coffins found in waterlogged ground. Bones reveal diseases, injuries, surgeries, diet, how long people lived. Britain's largest skeletal study collection. Buried Lives exhibition on site tells their stories. For your bloody tour, built on an earlier pagan burial ground, Christian church placed on sacred land. 3,000 plus bodies buried one on top of another. Centuries of the dead beneath your feet. Some graves carefully relocated when foundations were dug. Respect or fear? Thomas Rickman stood right here in 1819 and proved Anglo-Saxon architecture existed. Changed history. Open select Sundays in 2026. Check before you travel. Want me to turn this into a YouTube script, a history poster, or add spooky, haunted stories on top?
So this is St. Peter's. This is St. Peter's.
Yeah.
You're literally walking on bodies. They're saying it's free, but as you see on the English Heritage sign, admission charges apply. So they can charge you whatever they want. So this is Barton-upon-Humber, which is just across from the Humber Bridge. At one side of the Humber Bridge you've got Essel, and at the other side you've got Barton-on-Humber. Mainly known for clay stuff, clay manufacturing, still do it today as well. It's got one of the oldest churches in England, of which we've just seen, which is St. Peter's. Residential area, not much here, but still worth a visit just to have a scan around at some of the old buildings. You get the odd arrogant twat in the village, and you get the odd reasonable person that will talk to you. Quite a few stuck-up people as well who think they're better than you here as well. Very narrow streets as well, so you've got to be very vigilant that there's people not walking in the road. And it is the start of the Viking Way as well. Reason why they've put this in is the heritage of the town, heritage of the church obviously, and to show off that they've got a big nature reserve, and they do everything to try and get your money, basically. That's the reason why they've put it on. Other than that, there's not really much here. So if you are doing the Viking Way, you're not interested in the church, or you're not interested in a nature reserve and old buildings, just leave it and go on to Castle and start there. But this is the village for you. Anything you want to add, Dad?
No.
What do you think of the church and that? I see it's residential, very residential. It's not one of the areas I'd really like to walk through on a night, because you will get the odd person that won't like you walking through, will want to mug you. Well, that's it here, Barton-upon-Humber, and I'll see you again later, guys.
The bridge is complete and links the open countryside of Barton with Hessel, a few miles west of Hull on the north bank. On Friday, the 17th of July, 1981, the bridge was closed for the day for the official opening by Her Majesty the Queen. Whilst most people are still in bed, the final preparations are made for the visit of the Queen. The hedge cutting has been left to the very last moment, but the flags and bunting have been positioned previously.